Welcome back, and welcome to Module 3. Thanks again for choosing Accidental Project Manager. The O in the project method stands for Organize. Module 3 is based on the third chapter of the book, and it focuses on developing the project scope, estimates, timelines, and other plans to guide the project. In this module, Part 1, Work Breakdown Structures, Part 2, focuses on estimation. Part 3 looks at the various factors which will constrain your project. Part 4 looks at the basics of risk management. And Part 5 puts all the information together into a milestone plan. The first step after requirements will be to take what you know about the stakeholders and the requirements to the team and ask them to help create a work breakdown structure, or WBS. A recipe can be a metaphor for a WBS. The team brainstorms together to develop the recipe. The name of the project is what's being made. The ingredients are the various components, subcomponents, or smaller pieces of work that need to be delivered. The final plan which you're creating would be the instructional part of the recipe, indicating who does what and when they will do it. In terms of the WBS, the lowest level contains work packages, work that must be completed to finish the project. You can set up the highest levels, then you will need to work with your team to break it down into smaller pieces. Once the team understands what work is associated with each level and can reasonably estimate what it will take to estimate it or implement it, they can stop breaking it down. Each work package should represent roughly 2 to 4 weeks of work and will also serve as a high-level design. An important point is not to worry about how the work is going to be sequenced or performed. It's more important to get the ingredients list solid first before going on to how the work will be done. Worrying about how the work is done will only be a distraction. One of the biggest problems with not following this rule is that someone forgets a major piece of work that needs to be done and discovers it in the middle of the project. A completed work breakdown structure is typically represented as a hierarchical graphic showing the project at the top, the work packages, the lowest level of the ingredients at the bottom, and the various subdivisions in between. In this example, we see a breakdown for making a team breakfast. The WBS has several important benefits. First, it is a tool that can be used to identify all the work of the project. It helps the team understand how all the pieces of work fit together and enables the project manager to determine if any changes are being made. Since all the work is defined and fairly well understood, the estimates to complete the work should therefore be more accurate. And finally, the WBS is a team-building tool. It facilitates communications and discussions about the project, and since the team participates in its creation, they are usually more willing and able to buy in to the planning. The WBS should be accompanied by a WBS dictionary that gives more information about each work package. The team should participate in determining what information will be needed for the project. More detailed task descriptions put boundaries and limits on each task and promote a better understanding of what must be done. One of the most important things to include in the WBS dictionary is the acceptance criteria, which will tell the project manager that the work package is complete and of acceptable quality. Once the WBS is complete, the work packages must be estimated for the necessary human resources and time to complete. These will become a part of the WBS dictionary as well. Once complete, the WBS will be used to create the final schedule and manage any changes to the project. It would be easy to identify change if all the work is clearly identified and understood upfront. This course includes a WBS dictionary template. A WBS element can be a single component or a set of components represented as a work package. The work packages, the final level of the WBS, can then be determined by examining the component elements. Since all the elements, the level, and the code for each element or sub-element have been identified in the WBS, move to the definition column and define in detail what each element consists of. Next, identify how much work is required to complete each task, which is also known as the level of effort, LOE. Using the LOE, estimate how long it will take to finish each work element. Time to complete the work is estimated and recorded as two different factors: level of effort and duration. The level of effort is the amount of work it will take to complete the work uninterrupted. Let's say it will take me 3 days to program an ATM to validate a user's bank card. This is my uninterrupted work, so assuming I'm working for 8 hours a day, the level of effort is 24 hours. The duration factors in the reality of the situation. During the time that I'll be working on the validation routine, I have a half day of training scheduled, a day of vacation, some work on another project, and a couple of hour-long meetings. It would be more realistic for me to conclude that it will take me a week, the duration, to complete the validation routine. The duration can be less than, equal to, or greater than the effort. Let's suppose that based on the effort, it's decided that another resource should work on the validation routine with me. This resource has similar skills and a similar work schedule, for example, the training and the vacation. It would then be reasonable to estimate that the duration is actually half a week, or 2.5 days, or 20 hours to complete the work. This makes more time in the schedule for other work. Finally, identify what criteria each element has to meet in order to be accepted. A WBS dictionary can be extended, depending on the project, to include the level of effort needed for each element, the duration, the acceptance criteria, cost, resources, responsibilities, and more. So thanks for choosing the course. If you have any questions, comments, technical issues, contact us at support@ppcgroup.us and completely describe your issue. The WBS template is available for download in the course. And in part 2, we'll look at the basics of estimation. So I'll see you in part 2.